Here at Kies, we get a ton of questions from you guys about low pressure fuel pumps. Do I need one? Which one do I need for my power goals? And how the heck do you install it? And today we're gonna answer all that and more. Hey, this is Bryan. Thanks for watching Kies Motorsports. If you like our videos, give us a thumbs up, make sure to subscribe, and check us out at KiesMotorsports.com. In today's video, we're going to talk about low pressure fuel pumps because there are a lot of questions about them. Do you need one? If you need one, which one do you buy? And then how do you install it? And today we're going to answer all of that and more. Now, as you can probably tell from the car behind me, today we're going to be mainly focusing on the N55 F30, but a lot of this information, like how to install it, is going to be the same on any F series. Now, if you already know everything there is to know about low pressure fuel pumps and you're here just for the install, if you look down in the description next to the link for this, you're also going to find some hyperlinks that'll jump you to that part of the video. Now, before we get into the differences of the low pressure fuel pumps and how to install it, let's start with a super high level overview on what a low pressure fuel pump does. On my N55 F30 335, for example, you have two main fuel pumps. First, in the front under your intake manifold is your high pressure fuel pump. This is actually a Dorch Stage 1 that we're using for example, and the job of this is to atomize the fuel at a few thousand PSI of pressure to make sure that everything is going to burn as it should. But the high pressure fuel pump can't do it alone. You need a low pressure fuel pump, which is what we're talking about today, and that sits in your fuel tank, which is under your rear seat on the passenger side. And basically, this sucks the fuel up, and its only job is, it works at about 72 PSI or so. All it needs to do is get the fuel to your high pressure fuel pump, and then you can make that power. The problem is it has some limitations. On my F30 335, the limitations of the stock fuel system are about 400 to 450 horsepower. So if you're thinking about doing something like a turbo upgrade, forget it. You need to make sure that you upgrade to the appropriate low pressure fuel pump because you don't want to max it out. Now, if you have a 335, they come with about 300 horsepower. Maybe you add boot mode, get another 40, 50 horsepower, and maybe go full bolt on, maybe bump it up a little bit more towards that 400 mark. You may want to consider upgrading your low pressure fuel pump and also your high pressure, but we're going to save that for another day. Now, while we're talking about limitations, a lot of you ask, can I run full E85 on my N55? And the answer is no, it's not really a good idea. With E85, you're going to burn about 30% more fuel, so you're going to notice that economy going down a lot faster, but you're also going to be putting major strain on your stock system. So a lot of guys, a lot of tuners recommend running up to an E30 blend on the stock system, but no more. But with fuel pumps, you can up that. As a reminder to something we said earlier, the stock fuel system on the N55, F30, F32, and so forth can only handle about 400 to 450 horsepower. Now, one of the things I want to encourage you on is you don't necessarily need to wait until you hit those exact numbers before you bump it up. Now, there are 4 stages of this fuel pump available from Precision Racewerks. We're going to get into all of the horsepower numbers today, but one of the biggest mistakes that we're going to talk about in another video. We're going to dedicate a video to some of my errors here. When we went to pure stage 2, we were maxing out our high pressure fuel pump, and could it handle it? Yes, sort of, but it was really bad for the fuel pump. And then as soon as we upgraded the high pressure, it was complete night and day, and we're looking forward to doing it again today. Now, as far as which pump do you need, although Precision Racewerks has 4 different pumps, most of you guys, even me included, are going to only need one of 2. So there's a stage 2, a stage 2.5, and a stage 3, and a stage 3.5. With the stage 2, it's going to give you the ability to run 93 octane. Again, keep in mind, this is completely separate from your high pressure fuel pump, which needs to be upgraded. But stage 2 is 575 horsepower to the wheels with 93 octane, or up to 500 horsepower to the wheels with E85. If you go up to a stage 2.5, which is what I have here, and what's really cool about this, as you can see, it's all direct drop in, plug and play, super easy. This is going to be able to give me up to 675 horsepower with 93 octane, or 600 horsepower with E85. Now, this is not going to give you that power. You got to make sure that everything is tuned correctly. You got to make sure that you have the right supporting mods. But what we're trying to say is this can support those power numbers. Now, keep in mind, these pumps are the exact same for the N55, the N20, and also the N26. So a lot of us are never going to see these power numbers. But the stage 3 pump is good for 850 horsepower on 93, or 800 horsepower on E85. Or if you go to the stage 3.5, it supports 950 horsepower on 93 or 875 on E85. Now, like I said, most of us are going to be doing the stage 2 or the 2.5, even 650 is overkill. But when you look at the price difference, this is just a great, I think this is the best option of the bunch, especially if you're, you know, something like we are, pure stage 2, full bolt-ons, custom carry tune and whatnot. I don't run E85 now, but this would make it so that I could. So who knows, maybe one day we'll switch over to E85. Now that you have a sense of what a low pressure fuel pump does, maybe which one would be right for your car, let's show you how to install it. Okay, so as we said before, the low pressure fuel pump is in the rear seat under the passenger. So what you need to do, there's a little clip in the middle here, you just pull up, just like that, and then there's one over here, okay? And then what you can do is very carefully push your seat belts through the hole. Now my car does not have the heated seats in the back, so I don't have an extra connection. But if you do have heated seats, you want to make sure that you disconnect that before you pull this out. And then when you want to go put it back in, you just put the back in and then snap it back down. So let me take this out, put it to the side. All right, so let's take this here and we're just gonna fold it up. And you shouldn't really need anything, it stays out of the way. So then you're going to see there's 5 of these plastic 10 mils. So just remove these. Set them on our nice WeatherTech floor liner. If you didn't know, we now sell WeatherTech. So then you're gonna take the cover, you're gonna carefully pull it up, and you're going to see a connection in here. So as you can see right here, there is just one little tab. You press that in, pull it up, just like that. Now what you can do to depressurize the line is hop in your driver's seat and try to start your car. It probably will start, but what's going to happen is it's going to take the fuel out of here and it's not going to be supplying it, so it's going to depressurize the line. No more fuel. Okay, so the next thing that we need to do is we need to remove our fuel line right here. So if you look over here, there is a white safety clip on the front, and then there's a little tab we're gonna have to press on the back. So if you just, I'll try to do this out of your way as much as possible. Just lift that forward like that, and then you're gonna press on this little tab in the back. And then what's gonna happen is you're going to be able to pull this right off, just like that. So if you look over here, I was trying to do it with one hand. You're going to take this tab and this tab, you're gonna pop it down, and then you're going to be able to press in this little button right there to make it so you can pop this off. All right, for this next part, I highly recommend using gloves. And also, I highly recommend doing this when you don't have a lot of fuel in your tank, because otherwise you're gonna be elbow deep in gas. So what we're gonna do next, we need to get this lock ring off. So if you look, let me get my pick tool so you can see what I'm talking about. This whole ring is going to spin a little bit. We're going to twist it counterclockwise. We're going to pop it off. We have a special tool, and we'll show you that in 1 second. But basically, the way that it works is this whole disc right here is going to spin, and it has these little mounds right there, and they lock under this little bump right there. It's going to be really hard to see, but there's a bump here, there's a bump here, and then it goes all the way around. So there's a couple different tools on the market. This is the one for the F series for Precision Racewerks, and basically the way that it works are these little prongs. You stick them into these outer portions right here where there's cutouts. You line that up just like that, and then you take a breaker bar, pop that in there, and then you twist counterclockwise, and it will make a pretty good pop sound normally. Told you, it's not super easy to do. So that's why I highly recommend doing it with some kind of breaker bar. Once you've done that, you're gonna carefully just lift your fuel line out of the way. And then here we can see both sides of that. I'm gonna set that over here. Now, if you have microfiber towels, it's a pretty good idea to have some handy right now, because we are going to be dealing with the fuel system. And if you have an excessive amount of junk in here, ours isn't too bad. I would highly recommend vacuuming it out. I am just gonna get a little bit out of here. Okay, so now what you're gonna do, you're gonna wanna just navigate this up, And take note that this little piece right here, it only goes in really one way. This little piece is going to go towards the front of the car. So the first thing that we need to do is there's a little clip we need to disengage, and I'm going to do this for you guys as much as I can. But basically the clip is right here, if you can see that. You need to take this and you need to use a pick tool and pop it out. And we're going to have to show you some of this off the car, but it gets popped out just like that, and then we're just gonna let it hang. And then what you need to do is you need to disconnect the other fuel line that goes to the other side of the tank. So to do that, I'm gonna have to make sure that my fuel lines here are out of the way as much as possible. Just be careful you don't accidentally fling fuel around. Okay, so when you're pulling it out, there's a component over here that has the fuel line that goes to the other side, and it's positioned like this. But with a position like that, you can't really get it out. So what you need to do, you can either reach in and grab it, or you can use the actual, I'll show you what it looks like in just one second. You can actually use the top of the tank to just leverage it out. So if you look right here, this is the piece that we just twisted. So when it's in the car, it's upright like this, but the problem is it's taking the fuel line and going up and over, and it's gonna get hung up under your ridge right here. So what I like to do is, you can either reach your hand down there, or you can just use the top of this to just pivot it down. Now the reason you need to pivot it down is A, to get it out here, but then what you're gonna need to do, there's a little tab over here. So what you wanna do is you wanna pull here while pressing in this little clip on this side. I'm gonna press the clip in while pulling it out, just like that. And then as you're gonna see, make sure everything's straight, your little electric connection is connected to that. Okay, so here you can see my OEM low pressure fuel pump, and then also the Precision Racewerks Stage 2.5. So something that's really cool, they use the same bucket, and also everything looks identical, and it also fits back in identical. So they make it super easy and super plug and play. It just has an upgraded Wellboro pump and some other benefits. So with that, let's get the new one and install it. Okay, so now what we're going to do, I'm going to take this connection here. You're gonna feed it up through the wires, or through the lines right there, and that's gonna get plugged in just like that. I typically like to remove that first, and also install it first. And then what we're gonna do, we're gonna take this here, wiggle that into place until it clips in, and you'll hear an audible snap. Good snap, not a bad snap. Okay. Make sure that you have your level sensor inside here. And then once you start to get to a point where you want to make sure that you rotate that back upright so that everything is in the correct orientation. Sometimes you're going to have to do it like this. So you probably just heard that go back into place. Then you can just navigate it down. Just be careful of your lines. Just take your time. It fits pretty good, but if you're having any trouble, it's probably your line that is stuck. Make sure this guy's out of the way. And then you can just press that into place like that. It is a little bit spring-loaded, so keep that in mind. And you're gonna get this with your tool again. And this time you're gonna snap it on instead of off. So you're just gonna twist it clockwise, again, until you hear that wonderful snap, or until it just stops like that. I just need to go a little bit further. There it goes. Then you can remove that little yellow cap, open up your lock, press that down, lock it in place, plug that back in, make sure that everything is fully clipped in, make sure that everything is cleaned up, make sure you didn't spill any excess fuel. Then you can just put these plastic 10 mils on and start the car. All right. And we are good to go. Now, one cool thing, unlike a high pressure fuel pump, there's no tune adjustment required. So all you need to do is literally just plug it in. All right, so Zach and I finished installing the low pressure fuel pump on the car. If you're new to the channel, this is my 2013 F30 335. We have pure stage 2 turbos. We have a Kerry Jordan tune, 93 octane. We have upgraded spark plugs. We have charge pipes. We have Evolution Racewerks intercooler, downpipe, pretty much everything you'd expect. We just don't have any, we don't do anything with E85 and we don't do anything with meth injection on this car yet. We want it to be just super easy, throw 93 octane in it and have some all-wheel drive fun. So the car's a blast to drive, but as I started to say earlier, when we put the turbo on, you know, we didn't do the fueling correctly in the beginning, and it gave us a little bit of a hard time, but we'll make a dedicated video on, you know, how to basically do a turbo and do it right from the start. Because we definitely learned a lot from a couple mistakes that we made on this car that on other cars and whatnot, we will not make that again. But anyway, overall initial impression is the car already feels a lot better. Now we have the XDI fuel pump for the high pressure, but to date we hadn't upgraded the low pressure, and I don't really know why we never did it, but I can already feel a difference. So I can't wait to take this to a back road over here and open it up a little bit and see how it feels. All right, so we are in a secluded area with deserted trains. So you know you're in a secluded area, and this thing has already felt wildly better. Especially with, I didn't actually expect to feel this much of an upgrade because we still have to work out the tune. Oh, let's do a little third gear action here. Yeah, that works. What'd you think?
Way stronger, way more consistent.
Let's do a little second gear action. It's very smooth and very strong. Okay, I approve. I can't wait to get this thing fully dialed in now, because we had some issues where we were hitting some limits with the low pressure fuel pump. I don't think we're hitting them now. So I'm looking really forward to the day, and you guys probably are too, when we put this car in the dyno, which is coming up probably in the next 2 weeks, we'll say. I've already been talking to Kerry about some dates and times and whatnot, so we can get this thing fully dialed in. So be sure to stay tuned, because dyno video on the F30 335 is coming very soon. So anyway, once again, my name is Brian. That's Zach behind the camera. Thanks for watching Kies Motorsports. If you like our videos, give us a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe. Check us out at KiesMotorsports.com. And if you're interested in upgrading your fuel system, maybe turbos or anything else on your BMW, be sure to see the links in the description. Once again, my name is Brian. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.